Hello, folks. This is House Corrections and Institutions Committee. It is whatever day it is today, Tuesday, May 27th. After 2 o'clock, we're just kind of finishing up odds and ends. First thing, I do want to let the committee know that Senate Judiciary did vote out S-109. It included language on the county courthouse. It included the language, our language on that included, there was language on earned time for the victims to be notified on a 90-day cycle if they choose to opt in. And they did put in our language that we've agreed with the administration on H-219. So, and what I'm hearing from the chair of House Judiciary, they will probably concur, but we're not sure yet for that. So what I want to spend some time today is just for us to get a heads up. This is not past the Senate yet. There's H-50, which deals with the inventory language that we put through. And there's 2 amendments. This is the version as it passed out of Senate institutions. And the second one I'm passing out is what is currently on the Senate floor that will be offered. So I want to go through this, and we have BGS with us in the room as well. So hopefully this will come our way soon. We've got 2 things here. So hopefully this will come our way soon, because it's been on the Senate calendar for a week and a half. Again, what we'll need to do, they've amended our version of H-50. So we can concur with further proposal of amendment, or we can not concur and ask for a conference committee. So I'm going to quickly walk you through. If you go through the first page that I sent out, just back to back. The only change that they made there was on lines 12 on the front page. We had inventory of all state-owned buildings and land. They've included inventory of all state-owned or state-leased buildings and land. And I've asked this question to BGS a number of times. Because state is capitalized, does that mean that we own the building and we are leasing it out? Because I know the intent is probably lease space. Right. But the way that that looks, I'm wondering, state leased buildings. I would assume the intent was a state activity in lease space. It's not our own buildings. Right. I don't know the way that's.
So like National Life.
But I don't know if that, the way
Right.
it's language indicates it's a state-owned building that we lease out.
Yeah.
Cole, do you have an answer to that yet? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And I think the intent would be lease space that we lease out. But I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it.
I think you are. I think it's an important distinction.
I've been asking this for 3 weeks.
The commissioner did send to me 3 words. Not owned, leased.
That's
Yeah.
So
But the way,
confirms Alice's
Yep.
stuff.
do they mean that?
That means that we're occupying it, right?
it's, yeah.
We're paying for it, we're not getting paid.
No, you lost me.
No, we're all on the same page as you.
Based on what Phil just said,
Yes,
Yeah.
Does it clarify?
state-owned or.
That's why I know what the commissioner means, but it's still ambiguous in the.
I mean, because state is capitalized, that indicates to me it's a state-owned building that we lease out. I mean, that's how I've been interpreting
It should
it.
say space leased by the state. That's what they should say.
Right. I have flagged that from the get-go and I can't seem to get an answer.
Not to
The buy could go either way.
Right.
not complicate it, Yeah, no, that's
At
right.
least to the state, yeah.
I mean, we lease space. There are state functions in buildings we do not own, and we pay lease space for. And I think that's probably what they're trying to get. at.
National Life is one example.
Right.
Would make.
And City Center, we do City Center, and the bank across the street here. We lease the top floor, top 2 floors.
Mhm.
We don't own the building, but we lease it. Houghton Street. Downtown St. Albans, when the TIF district, we lease, where our state office building is, we lease that space. We don't own it.
Oh, I'm only too familiar.
Yeah, well, I am too. I lived there when we sold 20 Houghton. So I don't know.
So
Well,
kind of what I said originally, we questioned the intent, or, we knew what the intent was, but just questioning the words we're using. Why don't we want to consider both the ones that we own that we're leasing to people and also the space that we're leasing in general? Because I feel like we're wanting to get a full understanding of the inventory. That's just.
Your first one, I understand like why it looks the way it does. The capital does kind of throw it off. But the first thing, we own it and we're leasing it out, that's covered by state owned. But yes, it still looks weird the way it's written here.
Yeah,
Like it has to mean the other way,
okay.
because if you are leasing something, you own it and you're leasing it to somebody, that's already covered by the first part. But yes, the way it's worded or the capital letter makes it kind of seem different.
But to Will's point, why can't it just say, when the state is the leasee or something to that effect?
Well, that way there's no confusion with
Right.
if they're both.
But does the state carry an inventory of lease space? Space that we lease out. We don't
I
have
believe-
any control of
I
that
think there are
space.
examples where the state owns it and leases like a room to a nonprofit or something,
But it's a state-owned
That's
building.
covered in state owned.
Yeah, no, it would be covered.
Should be.
So why that's capital, I don't know, but it
Same.
has to mean the other way.
It's gotta mean our state-owned buildings, but
Right, it's.
if it's leased space, that the state lease, that we pay a lease for, we don't have jurisdiction over that if we're looking for inventory to be useful. So that language I would like.
I don't need it for a minute.
So the next one, if you flip the page, is, I think it's the same, describe whether any building is vacant and whether any land is unnecessary for state purposes. That is our version on page 2, lines 4 to 6. That is our version. They did take out in section 2. We amended the title of the bill. They took that out. Well,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were still discussing the first page with the land part.
yeah, they
I mean-
kept it the same.
No, they added and land.
No, we had land.
We had-
Oh, we haven't. I'm sorry. I thought that was them adding.
No, we had land. You gotta bring out our original.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
So the only changes they did in committee was add state leased buildings, state leased. And they took out that we renamed the bill. So now there's a floor amendment. If you go to the next sheet, this is not passed yet. This is on page 2 of the paper we were just looking at. It pertains to lines 4 through 6. What they have added, what we have recommended is each agency would indicate in its inventory in a format prescribed by the Commissioner of BGS, whether any building is vacant and whether any land is unnecessary for state purposes. What they have put in instead on line 16 is any land is unnecessary for the statutory purpose of the agency, which focuses it, narrows it agency by agency by agency. So if a state if an agency owns a piece of property that is an agency of human services, and we want to convert part of that over to agency of natural resources, can we do it?
Who gave them that language?
Senator Watson.
Wasn't AMT where they're looking at the new women's facility, wasn't that AMT? And
Is it gonna limit what we do?
Yeah, I think her intent,
Her intent is to protect forests.
yeah, it was like more A and R related where, you know, it might be vacant, but for the purpose of A and R, I think it made sense to keep it vacant, right? So. But
But if-
I think that's quite confusing
I
now,
think it's gonna
actually.
tie your hands.
I think it's quite
Like
confusing.
Windsor
I think
facility.
if you're leaving it up to the agency, even though I know it's statutorily, I think that could turn into
It's a report back. Head of each agency would prepare and forward to BGS. The square footage available for use, square footage in actual use, square footage not in use, square footage for storage, square footage that is unfinished, cost per square foot for rent, cost per square foot for operation and maintenance, source of funds for rent, operation and maintenance, including act and section numbers of the legislative directive. Each head of each agency shall additionally indicate in its inventory whether any building is vacant and whether any land is unnecessary for the statutory purpose of the agency. We had any land is unnecessary for state purposes, which we had very broad. So if the state doesn't need this, we can then determine, do we let it go?
Yeah.
What the amendment on the Senate floor is, it limits it for unnecessary for the purpose of each agency. So if AOT has property and we are trying to build a facility on AOT property, is it going to limit our ability to do that?
Sounds like it could be a
it's
possibility.
just a report, I mean, it doesn't,
Right?
it wouldn't preclude development or transfer to another department. It's in the report, we no longer need this for our statutory purposes.
For AOT
Well, any,
or whatever.
but it's just requiring them to report that. It's not necessary, it doesn't necessarily keep them from using it or like in the,
It doesn't require action one way or the other.
I
yeah,
know I'm coming.
it just
I wish you
identifies,
would all know,
I am going to come there very soon.
because you. all
save me a
know.
good spot.
Mhm.
Where you headed, man?
Be there.
The unveiling of the art.
Unveiling.
project.
Which project?
The one we all had part in some time ago, organized by Mary.
Yes.
Go out.
To be very dramatic.
So to me, it reads like a logical problem where the person who's responding to the report does not know all the things that the state needs or wants, and they can only answer for the agency of which they are part.
That this land is no longer necessary for our statutory purposes.
It's an acknowledgement of that
That
fact. They
just-
can't know anything beyond their.
Right.
It's an interesting take on it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's why you're a thinker, Brian. This makes sense.
I just want to get to the art show.
So is it something we agree with or don't agree? with?
I don't have a problem after I think about it.
Because it's a report.
Thinking did me good.
You are.
So I just want to put this on the table for folks, because as soon as it comes over, I want to make a decision.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, we can't do any votes now because they haven't acted on it in the Senate, but we're coming.
Yep.
So it is to concur, not concur and have a conference committee, concur with further proposal of amendment.
Are we deciding this now or at some point in the future when it comes over?
I would probably say when it comes over,
Okay.
but at least this gives us a trial run. We can think about it. We can also decide not to do anything, let it hang over till next year.
Connor, you could back channel intent, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we would want to clarify that language about least.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been asking about that one.
Can you do that before they send it over?
And Cole, can you get that back up to Commissioner and ask about the way it's worded with a capital S for state leased building? Does it mean state buildings we lease out, or does it mean lease space? That we pay lease to? So we'll go off